Fox News contributor Mike Pompeo. Secretary Pompeo, always good to have you with us. Thank you for being here.
Great to be with you.
Let's start there with this continued activity of missiles that are fired in our direction, drones, that are fired in the direction of our ships in the Red Sea. I also heard that Saudi Arabia doesn't want us to respond too forcefully to that. What do you say to that?
Well, the responsibility of American leadership is to deter these attacks and make sure that our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines are doing their mission and doing so safely. I don't think that's the case at all today. With the weapons and systems that we have in the region coming under attack, this administration has failed to do the simple task of declaring that these Houthis who are firing these missiles are actually terrorists. Right?
Which they were under the Trump administration.
And they were. With the hours of the Biden administration taking over, they took them off the terror list. I don't know what you'd call them other than terrorists, but clearly the Biden administration thinks something different. What we lost, and the reason you saw both what happened on October 7th and the continued attacks on American assets in the region is, Martha, we lost the fundamental deterrence. Mm-hmm. The perception of our adversaries that the United States would respond in a way that would be cost imposing on them evaporated. We saw it in Afghanistan when we had 13 Americans killed. Putin decided he could invade Europe. The list is now growing. Maduro in Venezuela is now talking about taking 2/3 of Guyana in our own hemisphere. This is an America that is on its back foot, and our friends don't trust us, and our allies insufficiently fear us.
You know, I'm struck by the minor incursions phrase that we heard about Russia. Mm-hmm. And you look at the entire discussion that we just heard, right? Because President Biden said, alluded that a minor incursion would be different than a big invasion of Ukraine. And look at where we are now. We're talking about continued military support. The cost of all of that, which there's a lot of backlash against in this country. And you heard some of that back and forth. You hear John Kirby saying, well, this is the last weapons cache that we can send over there because we don't have any money that is allocated to send more until there's a defense deal done in Washington. What do you say to that?
Look, when your enemies don't fear you, it gets expensive really fast. The correct process, I heard John Kirby talk today, says, well, we've done all this, we've provided these tools, but we haven't given them the tools they needed to win. We're now coming on 2 years on this conflict of Vladimir Putin's invasion, and all we've done in Europe is put restrictions on the Ukrainians' use of those tools. We feared escalation. I see the same thing in the Middle East today. Right? We're already telling the Israelis, hey, there are things we don't want you to do. You just heard them talk about whether can the Israelis reoccupy. That's the language of the progressive left. There was not an Israeli in Gaza since 2006. When you start to talk about reoccupation and telling the Israelis, be careful, you are encouraging our adversaries to continue their attacks, not only on the Israelis, but on the Americans as well.
One last one for you, sir. You were in Congress as well. What would you say should happen in terms of linking the border? Because there was a big showdown behind closed doors with some senators and C.Q. Brown, the new commander-in-chief, over this issue, because some of them started to say, why should we fund Ukraine when we don't even have a safe border? And we need all of these things together or no money for Ukraine. What do you think about that?
Look, I don't think that linkage is as direct as some of these congressmen think that it is. If we cut off funding to Ukraine tomorrow, the President Biden's not going to go secure our southern border. But make no mistake about it. You heard Director Wray yesterday. He said the lights are blinking. He's never seen the terror risk in the United States as great as it is today. That is a direct result of President Biden's failure on the southern border. And John Kirby can talk all he wants about more funding for our southern border. But yesterday there were 12,000 encounters on that southern border. That is crazy number of people. And who knows who's coming in? Chinese, Hamas terrorists.
Yes.
Who knows?
We had Bill Melugin on the border and, people just walking through broken parts of the wall and going, sorry, I'm walking in. Yes. See ya. Waving like this.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Exactly.
See ya. Secretary, thank you very much. Always good to have you here. Mike Pompeo.